Hi everybody, my name is Lisa Amber Kwamayasi. I am a distance learner for Eastern New Mexico University. I believe I am currently a senior. Yeah. So I decided to do my final project presentation on the survey project. Are most people apocalypse ready? Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. But we'll see. So, my big question was, are most people prepared in the case of an apocalypse outbreak? We just had a pandemic not that long ago, and an apocalypse might not be too far off. We can hope for the best, but I thought that this would be a fun survey, so that's what I did. I created 30 items based on this question, and I tested them for their validity and measurability. So did they truly relate to an apocalypse, or the skills that one would need in order to survive an apocalypse, or not? I did 3 different scales, unipolar scales: 1 to 6, 1 to 5, or 0 to 10. And that was to kind of make it a little bit more randomized. I tried to make this survey as random as I could. And I did use a bipolar scale minimally, just to engage the participants and keep their attention on the survey rather than on something else. And then I gave this survey to participants via an online platform called Survey Planet. I don't know if anyone's ever used it, but it's free. This is actually the second time in the semester that I've used it. So I made it on that platform, and then I shared the link over social media posts, and then I also sent it to my friends, my family members, and then they shared it beyond to people that they know. So, items on the survey were generated also through my own personal observations, popular media, and everything else, because the apocalypse is not something that you hear of in just one place. It's not just in the Bible, it's not just on a TV show or a movie. It's just about everywhere if you know where and how to look. I also based it on a definition of apocalypse from the Cambridge Dictionary, in which it means a severe event resulting in great change or destruction. So that there can be a variety of things that go into an apocalypse, and I may not have covered everything, but some examples of the items on my survey were: I am not ready for a zombie invasion. Did the respondent feel that that was more or less agreeable? They would, answer that on the scale. There was also, I would be an expert harvester if I had to be, which may or may not have hit home with a lot of people. Some people find it to be a good hobby to know what mushrooms they can eat or which berries are poisonous. I could butcher an elk. If you can butcher an elk, you can probably butcher a lot of other animals. Personally, I don't know that I could butcher an elk, but I've butchered poultry, and I know how to butcher rabbits. I might be able to take an elk. And my last example is that I own many weapons I can use when I need to fight for survival. So, do you own many weapons? Maybe you only own one, and so that's not as agreeable. And the respondent would, if it was 1 to 5, then they could put a 2 or a 3, because they don't have many weapons. They have 1 or 2 weapons. Or maybe they have no weapons, and they give it a 1. So, you're probably wondering what my full methodology was for this survey, and here is a little more in-depth look at my method. I had reverse scored 11 items of my 30-item survey. So, if they gave it a 4 out of 5, that 4 would be a 2. And many, if not all of my participants would call it questions, we call them items, would scramble the available answers on every participant's individual survey take, just to, you know, keep that engagement going and make sure that people weren't just going and click, 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 click. As I said before, the survey was created on an online platform distributed via a link over various platforms, social media, email, SMS, so on. I guess it also could have been, what's the other one? MMS? Multimedia. And then the participants were the family and friends of me. I do know just about every one of them. There were 16 in total that I got to partake of this survey. And then when the survey closed, I performed a reliability analysis for the Cronbach Alpha, which would need to be over a 0.70, and it was found to be 0.736 without having to remove any items. So, my survey was good. You're probably thinking to yourselves, but Lisa, what were the psychologically interesting finds of this survey? Well, that's all on this slide. Most people, they were moderately ready to survive an apocalypse, and if you look at my top left picture here, it's a screenshot that I took of my survey, which shows that, 41.6% of my participants found that it was very agreeable that they were not ready for a zombie invasion. And then this orange one right here, I can't read that, but that's, you can tell by how big it is how many people found it agreeable that they would not survive a zombie invasion. And, so on and so forth, all the way down to very disagreeable, which I don't believe any of my respondents used. And although they were quite confident in their ability to fight for survival, surviving various other elements of what an apocalypse might entail is much lower. So over on the right, I have a screenshot of another question, which was, should there be a war, I would be on the winning side. And 40% found this agreeable. Another 36% found it somewhat agreeable. 18% found it very agreeable. And the rest of them found it somewhat disagreeable. So most people on that question believe that they would fight for survival and be on the winning side. But if you look at my last picture here that says, filtering water is not my strong suit, 100% of my participants said that that was correct. They cannot filter their own water. One's confidence in their abilities does not seem to be very low in the event of an apocalyptic outbreak, and most of my respondents were women. All aged between 18 to over 75. I believe I had at least one great aunt respond to this, and she's in her 80s, so over 75. Parting may be but such sweet sorrow, dear viewers, but every good thing comes to an end, and this is my last slide. So, most people are not 100% ready in the event of an apocalyptical event. However, they do possess various skills which could be useful, and they would have the best chance of survival if they teamed up, which is often the case in human survival. A lot of people agree. We can't, the human race, they would not go on if we did not have our groups. Loners don't. If you're a loner, you're not producing offspring, so you're not making the next generation, and you're not fighting for the survival of your fellow men. So, if they teamed up, that would be great. They could probably survive quite a few events. And participants were most willing to partake of the survey, even though they were not completely ready for an apocalypse and did not have all of their apocalyptical skills honed. But thank you for watching. Princess wanted to cameo. So I say bye-bye.